Oh, right, my doggies. What's up? Good morning. 6:33. It's Wednesday. Hope everyone's feeling well. It's we're moving along through the week. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. We've been doing the 6:30 Club since 2020. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. Just finished the Wall Street workout at the 2520. It was awesome. Well, not the greatest playlist. One of my interns made the playlist, a little bit more hip hoppy, but a great sweat. Thinking about the day, I know yesterday was a little tricky for me because I'm in like 20 positions and a lot of options, and when you pull back, and even if you're in some leftover swings that pull in a bunch, and you have 15 of them, it adds up. So I kind of tightened up a little bit. If you look here at the chart of the spies, all we really did is just touch the 8-day. We've been above the 8-day for quite some time. We've even tested the 21-day a bunch of times. So for me, I guess I had too many things on. But at this point, some people are like, hey, Red Dog, does yesterday mean anything? I can't say this means anything except for, hey, if you think things are going to change, if you're worried about the AI bubble, first thing you got to do is break below 667.50, and then maybe there's a little bit more downside. We'll see. Right now, the spies are up $1. Little digestion here. Everyone's saying we're going parabolic. Well, the spies have been in the same spot for 4 days. So it's just really been all about your stock selection, all about your entries and exits, all about, your moving your feet. And anyway, let me say good morning to some of my dogs. What up, Blair? Good morning, my man. You like the hip hop this morning? Okay. Blair was on this the new Wall Street workout. It's funny. There's like, a lot of you guys have subscribed to the Red Dog Mindset, where we do the pregame and the pregame and the pregame, where we get our mind right. We think about our positions. We think about levels. When you think about your day and you frame it while your endorphins are going, it settles in so much more. Plus, it's just a great way to start the day. Get a little sweat out, feel good. Then you come in, sit down, look at the charts, have your iced coffee, listen to a little Pink Floyd, and continue to get it done. Right, Mike Pags? Mike Pags gets it done. What up? Let's go. Right now, gold. You can't be buying gold now. But anyway, so here you are. The spies are up 670, right in the range. The longer it hangs here, the better. I like when the spies hang in here, and then you can see the relative strength and see what's going on. The Qs also. Everyone's like, Red Dog, what a sequence! Like, holy cow! I'm like, yep, yep. And if you look at this ascending channels are great as long as it stays above it. You get into some erratic trading in the mega cap tech and this and that, but I would say, hey, again, if the bears are going to growl, which I'm not saying they are, it's going to break the 601-ish. At this point, it's it's just fine, and we'll see if this trend continues. And listen, every day is a different day. The entries and exits matter. As far as mega cap tech, some people are like, well, what's wrong with Microsoft? I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with Microsoft. It just, it's not a momentum scenario. You have to be really careful. I still think like here you could have been long versus 506 and added through the 521 to see 531. Now you've been inside days. So what you could do is you reframe the trade. If you're long it still, you could say, hey, this is my stop now. Instead of having 506 as a stop, you have 518 as a stop, and then let it go sideways. And then the next trigger for momentum, if it's going to have momentum, is going to be above 531. So you keep framing the trade. You keep figuring out how to stay with it and net money and cash flow. So anyway, with that being said, little sideways, and that can continue. Some guys are like, hey, what about Apple? Well, to be honest, Apple's been a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm still there. Just got to be careful that this kind of ascending little channel here, or whatever you want to call it, this symmetrical triangle doesn't break to the downside. If this breaks to the downside and breaks 253, there's going to be a little bit of an air pocket. So at this point, I'd like to see Apple hold above 253. If you're not as active, 251, then at some point, maybe there's enough of a catalyst to take out this 260. Here's your 260 from over here. So we'll see if this setup goes and triggers. Alan Gladstone, will Bitcoin and Ethereum rebound today or pull back further? All right, Alan. So let's get into Bitcoin and Ethereum. So about 2 weeks ago, I put Bitcoin on as a power play. I talked about how usually there's a really nice move into Thanksgiving. Into Thanksgiving is where, at all-time highs, there's froth, there's momentum, and everybody's loving it. I like to get involved before everyone is ranting and raving about it. So I came out and gave you guys a plan to buy Bitcoin. Okay, down here. Remember, I'm like, actually, let's look at Bitcoin. I'm like, this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. Here's the left shoulder, here's the head, here's the right shoulder. So I sent out, my power play, which is very, very cheap. It's only like, I don't know, a few $100 a month where I tell you what to do. Some of you guys like to be told what to do. Well, I said you guys could buy the $67 calls. I did it for mid-October and November down here. And then all of a sudden, look at that move. What a friggin' awesome move. This was an awesome move. So I'm going to teach you a little skill. And so everyone says, what does rolling up options mean? Well, if you have a nice trade where all of a sudden you're buying the $60 calls for I don't even remember how much, and then you start piecing out here, and then I sold them all the way up into that, then what you do is you roll them up. So you're using less equity, but you want to stay with the trade. So into this move yesterday, into this down move, I started to roll them up. So I had the $67 calls from 2 weeks ago, and I took all the profits in them. It was a great trade. And then on this pullback, I'm like, you know what? It can go to here, and it can even go to here. So I'm going to map out how to buy it back. So I went out and I bought the $74 calls into this pullback, thinking I'm in tier one. I bought it 3 times yesterday. And if I have to, this is like 117. I would buy more for what could be a bigger move, which I do think will be there in crypto through Thanksgiving. So that's what you call rolling up calls. Plus, I bought the dip in the IBT. And if you want to look at Bitcoin itself, I'm sure you remember in the 630 Club, when I went over this, because a lot of you guys made a ton of money, and that's why you subscribe. And those who didn't, who didn't go with it, who didn't have their mind right, who was like, oh my God, Bitcoin's too crazy for me. Well, you better, check yourself. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin. Here it is. So this is what I drew here in Bitcoin. Look at that. This was the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. And went to 126. And now what it did, look at that. All it did is hold the 8-day. That's a nice momentum. So I did buy more IBIT, and I bought some options, and I even rolled them up for power plays. So I'm trying to be strategic and forward thinking for everybody. Anyway, with that being said, iCancer made a lot of money on iBit. Good job for you. Listen, we made a lot of money over Amazon Pharmacy, Chaos News this morning, Prime Day, hopefully. All right, do you really want to talk about Amazon? I am long a little Amazon because Amazon showed a little relative strength yesterday, but it's not been the place to be. Amazon, triggered this wedge to the downside, right? Triggered it to the downside, and I bought the dip here, and it wasn't fun. I lost money. It happens. It was one of my trades. I kind of had Amazon colored glasses on, but anyway, but now here it looks a little different. Here, the SPYs came in, the Qs came in, and this held sideways. So I did buy some Amazon shares. Okay, where's Amazon this morning? It's up $1.19. That's nice. We'll see what does it do here, 224.20. Does it get through 224.20 with authority, take back the moving averages and pop through, or not? I also have 225 calls on for Friday. Today's Wednesday, so we'll see. UNH has been looking better. That's true. I agree. I haven't really been trading UNH that much. Meta's been a pain in the ass. Use my French. Meta might have put a bottom tail in here. Maybe. It hasn't been the place to be. Like everyone's like, oh my God, everything's going nuts. There's so much money out there. But if you've been buying Meta because you made a lot of money here when it was above the moving averages, you're not a happy camper. But now it's trying to rebuild, so we'll see. Thoughts on Wolf? Wolf got a little loose and wide. I still think this thing can get to, I told you guys, 14 to 16. I've been in it since, 12. ish. Well, not 12. Sorry, below 10. Unfortunately, I got stopped out of yesterday, which kind of sucks. But I do think you can get to 14 to 16. I would stay with it if I were you. Anyway, serve pulled in a little bit. So let me give you a little bit of not a lesson, but so here. So for me, you have to have perspective, and you're using a tier system. So I was telling you guys that I was buying a lot of serve here, and I think I bought it every single day here, and then I trimmed a little bit. So why wouldn't it have a little resistance into 15, right? From 11 to 15, that's like a 30-40% move. But if you're sitting in like 10 of these and you have a third left and it pulls in a point, you can lose a lot of money. So you have to use your tier system, but know what you can handle. I still think this looks awesome. I still think it's going to go sideways and take out 15 at some point, be in here. So it's just a matter of yesterday and dealing with some of the actual pullback, and pullbacks happen. They can't be up every single day. What's serve doing this morning? It is that's up 26 cents. I think it's just fine. A few inside days and that can continue. Iron did a convertible. Holy cow. I'll tell you, this stock made my friends millions. I'm just saying, and it's the truth. I've had this on the virtual trading floor / I've been charting it for almost, I don't know, every single day since 25. And look how this has followed the 8-day moving average. Like, you could look at my ebooks and say, when it's above the 8 and 21 day, you're long, you're not short. Some people have been telling me they've been short this thing since here. They're not friends of mine. But anyway, and ASTS, look at that. ASTS, this stock has changed lives. A new name. I've went over this a gazillion times. Some guys said here they tried it and they failed and they never went back to it because their mind's not right. They didn't have the endurance and have the wherewithal. Oh my God, stock knows me. No, it doesn't. It just wasn't ready yet. Here, you had that big money move, which we caught really well. And then I even remember that one. The last move that I made really good money here was right there. This is when I had a ton of options. We bought it for a mid-level pull-in, and I sold it into that. And guess what? I missed this part of it. But you know what? I don't care. I have gratitude for the P&L portion that I made by being with it. Some guys are just say, I'm an investor, Red Dog. This thing's going to 100 over the next year. That's different than trading it actively and getting paid for a living. But anyway, is NBIS a buying opportunity? It got ahead of itself. It's a time and a place. I do think it's going to be a buying opportunity. My money trade was right here. There's a difference between a money trade and not. Right here versus 86, we were buying the $100 calls. I played it up into 117 and then was done with it. And then look at this, a red dog reversal. Went through 133, came back below. That's a red dog reversal. That's a get out, get short, or reduce. So now into the 8-day, yeah, this is probably going to be some kind of buying opportunity. I don't think the stock is done, but look where it came from. So you got to be able to be on your toes and make adjustments to your share size. So that's 115.72. What's it doing today? It's up 3. So again, when you get so extended from the 8-day, you have to be careful with your size. That is why we have sell rules. You could have sold some strength or adjusted your momentum when it couldn't hold 133, and then you didn't take the pain of this many points. Or if this was one of your 10 swing longs because you've been in it since down here, and you have 10 of these on or 5 of them, these 2 days hurt. But all in all, it just came into the 8-day. So a little perspective. Is the RDR the same thing as a bearish engulfment? No. An RDR is when you trade through a prior high, you squeeze out some shorts, trade back below it, and that's your rebel match adjustment area. It doesn't always have to equal a day like this. It could have been, just it's just an active change of direction. And sometimes it leads to an inflection point, and sometimes it leads to a bigger down move. It all depends. Pony hurt a little bit yesterday. Came in a little bit more than it should have. But again, perspective, my dogs. You have to have perspective in life and in trading. Here is where I started buying options. Here is when I said Pony can get up to the prior highs, and it didn't got through it. So this down day could have hurt if you didn't manage your tier size, and it did hurt, hurt a little bit, But from 15 to 24, even the strongest stocks hit the 21 day, right? So anyway, this is 21 and a quarter. That's why I say entries and exits matter, because every stock goes through a trading pattern. And this one had a fantastic move, made us a ton of money, from 15 through 1630 up to 24. Some of you guys get spoiled, though, and you don't use your tier system. Hims. I like Hims. Who's him? Miguel Angel S. I bought some options in Hims yesterday because, this stock is a little bit crazy at times. So what did I do? I went out 2 weeks and I bought some options. I bought the $60 calls thinking that if it's going to break out above this, I want to be there. That's a nice looking chart. A lot of people love this company. I don't really trade it well, but a pattern's a pattern, and it's been under accumulation for quite some time now. So I do like this. I think it's good. Ford I had from 1190. I sold a lot into 1260, 1265, and then it came out with that news about some kind of something happening at one of their plants, and and I just sold the rest of it, and I lost on a third of the calls. Ford was a nice trade. It worked for a little bit. That's why you need to use a tier system. We had it on as a power play. I was buying it in here, trimmed some, bought more, and then we sold some into there, and then I stopped out of the rest, which is fine. But I had a third on. That was another thing. I lost on a lot of little thirds yesterday that added up to a bunch, and that was kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Guild, Ronald is asking about. I bought options there too. Nice looking pattern. Nice pattern. You guys are getting good at finding good patterns. This looks pretty good. If we can get above this and go, if the market wants leaders, this Guild could be a good leader in the XBI land. A lot of people who love the bios are saying Red Dog, this Guild, is really a leader. It's awesome. It's going to get above the prior high. I don't want to trade it because it's just not something I want to look at every day. So I bought some options there. Looks pretty good. Can't be upset about that. I'm sure BMNR and SBIT are probably bouncing a little bit with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin and Ethereum might need time to rebuild, so be careful with your size. I am in TEM. Someone asked me about that. I like this pattern. It got a little loose and wide yesterday, a little sideways action. I do think that takes out 98. It's been here for a while. The Oracle news yesterday kind of spooked maybe a computer that sold everything that had to do with AI because Oracle said that it's going to cost them money to rent the Blackwell. Yeah, our KLB has been working really nice for a lot of people. There's a lot of things working for people. Wow, look at that. I remember when they had a short report and everyone goes, Red Dog, it's over. Like, I think here, and now look at it. Wow, what a move. Listen, there's a lot of new names out there. You got to do your homework. If you're caught trading Amazon and that's it, or you're caught trading who I don't even know, Netflix, you're not making money like people making money in Iron and Wolf and Pony and these guys, or RKLB and ASTS. Like, there are new names. There's always new names of new bull markets, and this has been a great bull market. TEM has been loose and wide for over a year. That's true, Rick. Rick's the man. Rick's part of the Alpha team. That's why I'm not in the shares. The shares are too tough for me. It trades by appointment. So I'm like, you know what? If this thing's gonna have a move that I don't want to miss, I could go buy the $100 calls, go out 2 weeks, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least it's not a brain drain. It's a very loose and wide stock, very loose. Even more loose and wide than NBIS, which I also did options with. It was hard to be in this stock. You had a few good money trades. You look at this money trade, then you could have bought for a support. This was I actually didn't catch a lot of this. I made a little bit of money here. This is where I made my real money from here to there. But then that goes to show you can take a chunk out of a chart. You don't have to be in there for the entire thing. You just need the right setup. And if you did the same thing up here, you got hurt. But anyway, now we'll see, does it rebuild and figure that out. Tesla needs time. Tesla was a great trade. We were talking yesterday in the Alpha team how this is now down to the B- team, the B- club. I have an A list, a B list, a C list, and a D list. Here, it was getting set up, and thank goodness I didn't get worn out because I lost a little bit of money in here. But then again, that's why I'm in the sauna in the morning. That's why I'm doing my fasting. That's why I'm keeping my mind right so I can go back after trades and execute with my go time. Do you have a go time? What do you do for yourself to get yourself primed for go time so you can execute when your mind tells you versus being exhausted, which some of you traders are. But anyway, this is when it became an A trade. It was a great 3-day move. And then up until the deliveries, which sometimes they sell the news, which they did, this was using your sell rules. I post the sell rules all the time. You could have get out of most here. I did buy some TSL into this, sold 75%. That was a great trade. Why are you selling 75%? Like, because it has another event. And yes, there was another event. So it's kind of choppy as hell right now. So it needs time. I am not in any Tesla right now. First time in a while. I'm not in stock. I'm not in options. It's up 281. I really don't care. It was weaker yesterday. I don't know. It needs time. 488's right there. It kind of made a lower high. We'll see if the 21-day holds. We'll see if we get a new setup here. It's on the B minus list. If it was down a few dollars, maybe I would be buying it to go red to green, but up a few, I'm probably not going to trade it to go, red. It's just not worth my time. Rum was not good. I'm still in rum. I would have thought it could have held this 805 area, held above the gap, went sideways and took 895. But what I would have thought and what the stock wanted to do were two different things. I'm going to give it a little bit more space. It's a laggard. Sometimes when you play a laggard and think it's going to be reborn with the new narrative, it doesn't work. And this one for now is just a little bit of a pain. Dash has been awesome. Dash has been probably one of the best names out there. I've been all over this Dash. I actually bought some options yesterday on the pullback. Again, new names. I gave you guys this name. I went over this pattern with you 100 times in the 630 Club, and we've had it as power plays. It's been on the VTF. Right around here, I'm like, look at this, guys. Look at this cup and handle. It's going to go back to here. And then here was even a bigger cup and handle. I'm like, it's going to make new highs. And P.S., it's a little extended, so it could use some time, but DoorDash has been absolutely fantastic. A name that I didn't 2 years ago, I didn't trade DoorDash ever in my life. Now it's made me probably six figures and it's changed people's lives. And not every stock's going to change lives, but if you find a stock that trades great, that you believe in, and that fundamentally, fulfills what it's supposed to do and technically plays by the rules, you stay with that thing and you make a lot of money there. And there's been a bunch of those. Scott, I've been in Dash for a long time. I sell premium every month. That's good. John Boston does it differently. He's in it, and then it has a move, sell premium above it, comes in, keep the premium, goes up again, sell premium. That's a great way to do, it's trading. I'm 53. When I'm like 60 plus, what I'm probably going to do is, as I get a little slower, I'm going to have my 4, 5, 6 names, and I'm going to sell premium around all of them, create income, and use options that way. I do that now, but I would love to do more of it, but it's too hard for my alpha team to follow. I can't have 1,000 things going. Right now, I've had a lot of positions, and it's been hard for everyone to follow, so I'll wait. AMD is still good. Yeah. I bought the dip, and I kind of went back to it. AMD is interesting. It had an inside day yesterday. Again, intraday, you haven't been able to buy any of this thing. On Monday, I had my best day of my career, because not just AMD, I was in like 20 things. We had a big day, and I was in AMD calls thinking that it looked good, and then that happened. And now here's your prior high. Can AMD, do some more inside action above 203 and hang in here to take that out? I'm not sure. It's up a bunch this morning. AMD is right here. It's up 320. It's trying to prove it could do better than Oracle, because Oracle, hasn't done a thing since that big gap up. If anything, it's been very erratic. Oh, Amazon's up $1.76. Nice. Anyway, so see how this plans out. You could be long AMD versus 203 and not overtrade it, and then if it gets through 226.71 or the prior high here, hey, maybe there's another move. But right now the bears are trying to put in a double top. So that's what they're standing on. The bulls are saying, hey, we have a big pro gap here. If we hold that, it means higher. So let's watch the tug of war happen and try and figure out which way it's going to go and jump on that when the time is right. But give it some space. What do I think about PayPal? PayPal had a nice lower level trade. I give that to my crew down here, and had a nice move. But I had options on it. I think they might have expired. I don't know. SoFi looks pretty good too. SoFi made really good money in it, but I got out of it. I bought it here. I sold into that. I'm like, you know what? I just don't have a commitment to SoFi. It's not a name that I played a lot like a hood, but I did catch a nice 2-day trade, and it still looks good. So there's still a lot of good-looking things out there. So listen, everyone's like, what year are we in, Red Dog? Are we in 1999? Are we in 1996? I'm like, guys, you have a lot of different ways to play the market. I posted this yesterday. People like, I don't get it. Why would you post something like this? So I'm going to tell you why I post something like this. So first of all, here's the Wall Street workout, 25-20. That was hours ago. Here's the 630 Club. So this is what everybody's talking about. The debate is taking place isn't whether AI is in a bubble, or is it 1996 or 1990? All right, great. You guys keep debating that. We'll try and make some money. So you go back here. I posted this 1,000 times to you guys, which is my financial roadmap, which is what's taken 30 years for me to accumulate over time. So what doesn't matter if we're in a bubble? Why? Because you have your active trading account and your swing trading account. If we break day in 21 day, maybe the bubble bursts and we're out of our swing trades, we're out of our active longs, we're tactical, and we're more short than long, and that'll show us when that happens. If we go down for 2 years like we did in 2007, 8, or you have a 401k every month, it'll help your average cost. If you're 53, you don't care. If you're 43, you don't care. If the burst, you have a blood in the street account, which is 17 for 17. So if we do drop 20, 30%, which I'm not saying we are, you could then go 3 tiers and carve out a nice chunk besides your cost average gain, which we have. And then obviously life insurance is different. So this is my financial, I preach this. This is my 30 years wrapped up into one to help with your learning curve. So anyway, bottom line is, let's not debate this. Let's be on our toes. Let's use our process. Let's use our system. Let's get our mind right. So when things move, you can make money from it, and you're not obsessing about what people are using to fill airspace on the TV sets. Love you, my dog. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe above to the Red Dog Mindset. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are having the best year ever. Fourth quarter is usually my best quarter. So I'd love to make sure that you're executing with confidence so you can make it yours. I'll see you guys later.